What's up, everybody? It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for another all-new Falls Count Anywhere. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Come on in, sit on down. I am your gracious, humble host, Robbie Diesel, wrestling fan extraordinaire. Welcome to Falls Count Anywhere. Man, it was a crazy, insanely busy week of wrestling, and we got a ton of news to cover. So without further ado, let's just hop right on into it. One of the first things that I have to mention is a pretty big story that broke late last week, and set the internet on fire. Apparently, there was a tape of a certain type of situation that leaked, and it featured Paige, current, suspended WWE Diva Paige. It also featured Brad Maddox, who was let go from the company almost a year ago now, and current roster mainstay Xavier Woods. Shame. So essentially, this tape or series of tapes leaked last week and has since caused a little bit of controversy inside of the WWE. Paige's family has kind of took to her defense on Twitter, as well as her legions of fans. In the last couple of days, though, her mom especially has posted kind of cryptic tweets saying that Paige mentally wasn't doing so well, which obviously any of us that has our privacy invaded like this wouldn't take it the best. But nonetheless, it's something that WWE at least felt the need to keep the New Day off of Raw, in the sense that they weren't in front of a live audience. They did a short backstage segment, and they subtly hinted that, you know, they were aware of what's going on. Big E and Kofi looked at Xavier to start the segment off, and is like, do you have something you want to tell us? And they go straight into plugging for WrestleMania, which was awesome. It was a nice little transition. Obviously, WWE didn't see it fit to take any action against Xavier Woods, and rightfully so, because this is something that was beyond his control. Yes, he was featured in one of the videos, but he didn't leak them. He had no idea they would get leaked. So kudos to WWE for not overreacting and kind of putting the hammer down super fast. Monday Night Raw was pretty decent this week. It started off with the eventual firing of Mick Foley, which essentially the firing of Mick Foley is basically just a way for them to transition Kurt Angle into the Raw GM role after WrestleMania. There's been nothing concrete, but I mean, come on. We know that's going to happen eventually. Kurt Angle is more than likely going to take over the helm now. It remains to be seen if he's going to align with the reemergence of the Authority, or if he's going to pick up the kind of good guy, babyface GM role that Mick Foley held. Mick Foley, meanwhile, is going to be taking some time off to get some hip surgery done and recuperate from that. So it may not be a permanent exit from WWE TV, but he will be absent for the foreseeable future. Also on Raw, we had Triple H do a sit-down interview with Michael Cole after Seth Rollins' physical therapist came on and talked about how Seth Rollins may not be ready for WrestleMania. In the in-ring interview that Triple H did with Michael Cole, he did his best to kind of build up Seth Rollins and tell him, hey, stay at home. You don't want this. But if you do, I can think of a way to make this happen. Now, I think that what this may be is Triple H is hinting towards an unsanctioned match of some sort at WrestleMania. Now, whether or not it's actually against Triple H is yet to be seen, because we still have a little over a week to go before WrestleMania. I think this may be the way that they go, and Triple H is no rookie to unsanctioned WWE matches. In fact, he took part of one of the better ones in SummerSlam of 2002 against Shawn Michaels. Another really, really awesome promo that was cut on Monday Night Raw was Chris Jericho coming out promising to expose the real Kevin Owens. One of the cool things about this segment is we did kind of get to see a little bit of Kevin Owens' past, and obviously himself and Jericho are both Canadians, fellow Canadians, if you will. And Jericho pulls this picture of Owens as a young buck in his room, and he's wearing a Y2J t-shirt, and he's got a Jericho poster against his wall in the back. It was a cool segment. Jericho, hamming it up, pulls out the line, he's not a fan, he was marking out, man. Just kind of playing up the fact that, as a teen, Owens obviously looked up to Jericho. I am loving the build to this match because shortly after Jericho laid into Owens, Owens himself shows up, hits Jericho with the pop-up powerbomb, destroys the list, and then for good measure, he eats the damn list. I don't know why he felt the need to eat it, but he did. That was a little weird, but I mean, it adds to the viciousness of Owens' character. I think I'm very, very, very excited for this match. Outside of the Neville versus Austin Aries match, Jericho and Owens could potentially be the match of the night at WrestleMania. We still have another week to build, so there's one more Raw left before WrestleMania, and I hope that we get to see these two kind of interact, maybe get into a brawl or something like that before the end. They've done a great job of building the storyline up, though. I'm a huge fan. In regards to the women's title, right now it's Sasha Banks versus Charlotte versus Nia Jax versus Bayley. Nia Jax defeated Bayley on Raw to earn herself a way into this match at WrestleMania, and I think it may be a little too soon to pull the trigger on a women's title run for Nia Jax, but trust me, it will happen, and when it does, she'll be pushed the same way that Braun Strowman is being pushed in the men's division as just this kind of unstoppable monster heel. Sasha Banks is also on my radar on the short list of people to win that match. I think she's going to come out on top. I think the Sasha heel turn will be completed at WrestleMania. Don't be surprised if we see her, throw Bayley out of the ring or cheat some kind of way to win the title. And it's only right. Sasha Banks has been part of the biggest rivalry in the women's division on Raw versus Charlotte. Charlotte has had the title for 92 times already. I think it's time to put the title on Sasha Banks and let her run with it for a while. No more of this, trade-off, one month title reigns. Give Sasha Banks the title, let her run with it for a few months, maybe all the way through SummerSlam, and then let Bayley win it back then. That would be the way I would book it, but I'm just a wrestling fan. On the SmackDown side of things, AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon is officially official. How do I know, you might ask? Because Shane McMahon did the one thing that he always does on the road to WrestleMania, and that is he put an elbow through the heart of AJ Styles, through the announce table. So he did his ever-popular top rope elbow into the announce table spot. That basically solidifies the AJ Styles versus Shane match. I'm still not 100% sold on this match because I think AJ Styles would probably serve better in a championship or championship contenders program. But if WWE has enough faith in him to put him with Shane McMahon and trust those two to put together a great match, I have no choice but to get behind it. I know for certain that AJ Styles is capable of having a great match with essentially anybody. AJ Styles is easily the biggest asset to WWE, and I would expect somewhere along the lines that after this program is finished with Shane McMahon, he's going to move on to bigger and better things, potentially into the Universal title scene on Raw, because it's been no secret that Vince McMahon is very, very high on AJ Styles and definitely wants him on the flagship show. So don't be surprised if, at WrestleMania, AJ Styles loses the match and gets shipped over to Raw to start some sort of feud for the Universal title with either Brock Lesnar or potentially a returning Finn Balor. SmackDown pulled a swerve of Swervington McSwervies on this week's episode. The Usos went over American Alpha and captured the tag titles for the third time. I'm excited that the Usos have the titles going into WrestleMania. I'm a fan of the Usos. I think that they are a great tag team, and despite what you internet wrestling fans say, that they're dull, they're boring, it's the same old. Now you don't have that. You have a reinvigorated Usos tag team. They're playing the heels, so their characters are a bit more refreshed. The good thing is, when they switch roles, they can also reinvigorate their moveset. We get to see a different version of the Usos, and I really dig them. I would love to see a rematch at WrestleMania between the Usos and American Alpha, because they did have one hell of a match, and it was a really, really good match too. I don't think SmackDown has to do a multi-team match for their titles. Give the Usos and American Alpha 10 to 15 minutes to work a great match, and I promise you they will put on just that. Miz and Maryse continue to be insanely entertaining on SmackDown. They did a backstage segment vignette that was very, very reminiscent of those campy backstage segments that we would see during the Attitude Era. The Miz was, of course, playing John Cena. Maryse was playing the role of Nikki Bella, and they played on the fact that, you know, Cena hasn't proposed to Nikki Bella just yet and probably won't. Miz and Maryse versus John Cena and Nikki Bella at WrestleMania, I don't think is going to be, you know, a 4 or 5 star classic, but we should all be thankful for the build alone. I mean, the Miz has been fantastic and on fire on the mic lately, and they're just letting him go at it, and he's doing some of the best work of his career. And the promos and the build up to this match has me interested in it. Ambrose and Corbin is legit and is official, so WrestleMania 33 has its 32nd match on the card. Corbin versus Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. If they're going to do something with the Intercontinental title, I'm cool with that, but Ambrose has had the title and hasn't really defended it much. He's been in the world title picture since he's held the title, and I'm a big fan. The Intercontinental title is one of my favorite belts, if not my favorite belt of all time. That's your workhorse title. And Baron Corbin, man, he's been putting on some really impressive matches as of late. So if you're not going to let Dean defend that bad double, give it to Baron Corbin and let him face off against a new crop of opponents. I think it's time. I think it's time that WWE increases Baron Corbin's role and trusts him to put on great matches, and there's no other way to do that than to give him the Intercontinental title. It's time to, you know, shift that title off of Dean Ambrose, put it on to Baron Corbin, and then you can kind of inject Dean back into the world title picture. Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton seemed to get a bit more interesting this week. We saw Randy Orton face Baron Corbin, and Dean Ambrose interfered in that match, and Randy got the win. He went backstage and was being interviewed by Renee Young, and the lights kind of go out. He's surrounded by all the sheep masks, and Bray Wyatt attacks him. He says that Sister Abigail is now part of him, which I have no idea what that means. No clue. I'm looking forward to this week's SmackDown, the go-home show before WrestleMania, to see what becomes of this rivalry, though. The big matches. Roman Reigns and Undertaker finally interacted on Raw this week, and we saw Undertaker chokeslam Braun Strowman, and it looked like he winced a little bit after he threw Braun out of the ring. Like maybe he pulled something. I don't know. But after he chokeslammed Braun and got him out of the ring, Roman Reigns lines him up, nails him with the spear, puts Taker down, leaves the ring, of course. Taker sits up, does a throat slash. It's official for WrestleMania. I'm assuming this is going to be it for Taker. He hasn't looked the same all this year. Every single appearance that he's made, he has not looked like the same Undertaker. And I think it's time. WWE has Roman Reigns always saying, this is my yard, this is my yard, this is my yard. I think Reigns is going to go over Taker at WrestleMania. And I think that's going to set up something for another match between him and Strowman. And I think that's when Strowman's going to get the best of Reigns. At least. I hope so. I would like to see them book that way. I would also like to see Strowman play a role in this Roman Reigns and Undertaker match. I want to see him come out and just destroy both of them. That way we don't get a clear-cut winner, and we're still left to wonder, whose yard is it really? If Braun comes out and just absolutely demolishes both guys that is claiming that ring is theirs, and he's left standing tall at the end of that match, could you imagine the buzz for Raw the next night? Like, seriously. And the Raw after WrestleMania is always one of the biggest of the year. If Braun can come out, destroy Reigns, destroy the Taker, and he's standing solo in the ring by himself, that for sure guarantees Raw it will be a must-watch. Absolutely. Alright dudes, that's this week's Falls Count Anywhere. Thank you so very much for taking the time out to watch it. If you like this video, make sure you like it, man. Hit that thumbs up. Give me a like. Comment on it below. Let me know what you think about any of the matches that we talked about. Do you think this is Undertaker's last WrestleMania? Can the Usos and American Alpha put on a classic match at WrestleMania? Will AJ Styles and Shane McMahon steal the show? Let me know. Let me know what you think. In the meanwhile, as always, you can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat, via @RobbieDiesel. Follow me on social media. I'm always talking about wrestling and tons of other fun stuff. And I'm a pretty reachable guy. Most importantly, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you get every single episode of Falls Count Anywhere every week. Thanks for watching, you guys. And I'll see you next week. Peace.